Hello, everyone. Welcome here. And we are really glad and nourished by your presence. And thank you all for joining us. And well, happy Mother's Day to everyone and to our beloved Mother Earth. We are starting our meeting, taking a collective breath. Space to honor climate activist Wynn Bruce. And here's what we are going to do. We'll have a brief meditation, guided meditation by Sister Truval. Then we'll start our panel. Then we'll have a brief somatic practice, and then we'll go into Dharma-sharing. So if you have any question, you can just chat me while we are doing this. And thank you so much. I'll pass it to Sister Truval. Probably not.
Dear friends, welcome to our Earth Holder online Sangha. We will begin with a guided meditation to ground us. Please find a comfortable sitting position. We will hear some words that will be paired with our in-breath and out-breath keywords. And from time to time, we'll hear the sound of the bell to gently remind us to come back to the breath and back to the meaning of the keywords. You may like to close your eyes or to focus on the screen. We can bring the altar, the screen. Breathing in, aware that I am breathing in. Breathing out, aware that I am breathing out. In, out. Breathing in, aware of the air coming through my nose. Breathing out, aware of the air exiting my nose, entering the nose, exiting the nose. Breathing in, aware of my body sitting solidly on Mother Earth. Breathing out, feeling the stability of my physical body resting on Mother Earth. Solidity of body, stability of body. Breathing in, aware of the presence of Sangha around me. Breathing out, aware of the support of Sangha around me. Presence of Sangha, support. Breathing in, aware only of the in-breath. Breathing out, aware only of the out-breath. In, out. Just take a brief stretch above the head as we breathe in, elongating the spine, breathing out together. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for coming today. We welcome all of our friends from the Earth Holder community, from Wake Up, from Sangha members from Boulder, Colorado, from friends from kindred spiritual traditions, and from the wider community of care. Welcome all. Today we come together to pause and hold and honor Wynn, and to look at the reverberations within us and in our communities in the wake of his passing. We do this in the spirit of community, to practice, share, and connect as one larger body. All of us are here today because we occupy various spheres in relationship to Wynn and to one another. Some of these spheres intersect and are nested within one another. We hope to honor all of them fully. We have friends here in this space who have personal, cherished connections with Wynn. Many of us here are grappling with the loss of a community member through such a grave and drastic way. Many of us are grappling with the meaning of Wynn's self-immolation, its repercussions in our own life and in our own communities. And many of us here, like Wynn, share his reverence for Mother Earth and great concern for our collective direction in the face of the climate crisis. Each of our panelists, like you, occupies space in multiple spheres. As we share, we are mindful that we are not speculating about Wynn, but we are sharing from our own experience, both personally and universally, of this journey. And we hope these sharings may reflect in some way aspects of your own journey and practice. We hope that together we support one another to continue to embrace and look more deeply into Wynn and into our individual and collective situation. Thank you.
Well, dear friends, now we welcome Erica Hamilton, who will be our first member to talk. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello, dear friends, dear Thai. I'm a friend of Wynn's, and in processing my grief, I wrote about how I'm honoring his life, and I'll read some of what I wrote. I met Wynn in 2004 when I joined a young adult group within the Unitarian Universalist Church of Boulder. Wynn and I had a lot in common. We were both dancers and meditators. We were Dharma dance siblings, and we were both young, disabled, and neurodivergent, though we didn't use that term back then. Wynn had gone through a traumatic, life-threatening car accident. I had gone through traumatic, life-threatening illness. Nowadays, in my middle-aged years, I have many disabled friends, some of whom have also gone through life-threatening trauma. But in my early 30s, Wynn was one of only a few friends who could relate deeply to those experiences. There was a profound sense of trust and understanding between us. I could relax around Wynn, speak my truths, and be fully accepted by him. I never felt judgment from him, only loving kindness and compassion. I remember one time in the mid-O's in which Wynn attended a small gathering at my house. I had a digital camera, and he asked if he could take some photos. About 20 minutes later, he showed me some of the photos he had taken. I was in awe and asked how he had managed to take such great pics with my dinky little camera. He showed me, without a hint of ego, some of his camera techniques. Wynn's playfulness was infectious. He took a self-portrait at that gathering. I'm gonna share it here. Later I put this on my blog with the caption, quote, "Quinn is a photographer and I think he took this photo. I left it unrotated because I think he would appreciate that," unquote. Wynn was a great photographer because he took the time to be in sync with the people, animals, and nature that he was photographing. He saw beauty in all of nature and funneled that appreciation through his camera lens. He found angles and lighting that brought about an understanding of the authentic human experiences that people went through. In a tribute to Wynn, the Golden Bridge dance community wrote, quote, "He was a photographer, a safe place for people to have wrinkles and depth. He did not shy away from life's wrinkles," unquote. So true. I think back fondly about some of the hikes that Wynn and I went on together. He didn't talk a whole lot during those hikes. He embraced the silence and sank deeply into moments of being in communion with nature. It was clear that Wynn had a deep reverence and love for the earth. Making sense of Wynn's self-immolation has not been easy or straightforward. The grief I feel has a different quality from all other forms of grief I've ever experienced before. I remind myself daily that we humans make meanings of life and death through our lenses of experiences, identities, personalities, neurotypes, spiritualities, and cultures. I've been practicing Buddhism in this tradition for over 25 years, and it was difficult to see some people on social media blame our teacher for Wynn's death. Thai's perspective on self-immolation as an act of compassion rather than self-destruction was embedded in his spiritual lens, and I want to be clear that if I had known about Wynn's plans to self-immolate, I would have tried to stop him from carrying them out. There's an author, Chris Goto-Jones, who's talked about Buddhist self-immolation in his article, and he portrayed it as a devotional act of embodied practice. He noted that journalists and others on social media often perceived Wynn's self-immolation only within the lens of the Western Christian conscience. Wynn was open to a wide array of lenses through which he saw the world. He perceived things outside of the conventional streams of society. That was one of his many gifts. In our society, we've been in denial about the realities of the past, the realities of the present, and the realities of where we are headed. I believe that Wynn saw the reality of climate change and climate injustice clearly and wanted us to live in truth with this reality. I believe he wanted us to take compassionate action to protect life on Earth. Will we act now? Every day since Wynn's passing, I've shed tears and contemplated how to honor his life in passing. I've pledged to be completely honest with myself about the causes and conditions of climate change and climate injustice, and to engage mindfully in climate justice activism. I hope others will also write aspirations, pledges to protect the earth and advance climate justice. Wynn was so kind to people, animals, and ecosystems. He cared deeply about them, and his actions spoke volumes about his feelings of loving kindness for all beings. In Bell Hook's article, Toward a Revolution of Love, she recalled how she had asked people around the world about the forces in their lives that triggered profound transformation toward compassion. She wrote, quote, "The stories I heard were all about love," unquote. May our love for this earth and all of its beings propel us to bring about earth justice and healing. I wrote this piece from my heart, out of love for Wynn and the earth. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Kritee, yes, it's 5.5 and then 7.
Thank you so much, Erica. My name is Kritee. I am a friend of Wynn. I'm a climate scientist and I'm a Zen priest. Different people who knew Wynn in different capacities would have different things they noticed about Wynn. I have, in my 8 years of knowing Wynn, I have over 100 emails by Wynn on climate science and climate policy. And he's attended, this is not a memorial, but I'll just say the personal part. He has attended at least 4 grief rituals, grief circles on climate with me. And he was aware of his neurodivergence, but he spoke very clearly about his grief, about his pain for Mother Earth, climate crisis, and he wanted to take deep actions, radical actions. I think whatever none of us can know I cannot know what was truly happening in his heart-mind. And the truth is that we don't have to solve it all. We don't have to know it all about Wynn's intentions and motivations to make room for whatever we are feeling. I'm very sad. I have cried every day, just as Erica was saying. To imagine that my friend suffered for 24 hours before he died after setting himself on fire is very painful. But I don't have to know his intentions. I'm making my own meaning out of his action. And for me, what resonates is we knew where we are. My people back in India are facing 115, 120 degree Fahrenheit weather right now. And this is not even peak summer. We had 3 fires in Boulder in 3 months. The last message I got from Wynn was about the fires and checking if I was okay. The reason this thing is giving us shock and pain and also resonance, at least some of us, I imagine, is because we know what a dire situation we are in. And my hope, my prayer, my heartfelt wish for this session, and until we meet again on June 12th as a community, is that we create space for the grief we are feeling, both around where the planet is and where we personally are after this shocking event. Unless we feel it, unless we create time to feel what we are feeling with all its confusion, we are so likely to file this away, put this away, and keep going with the status quo. One of my teachers, mentors, Joanna Macy, the teaching I've gotten from her is that grief is love. Grief is love. To derive the power of climate grief to fuel our movement, we must sit down with the grief so it can be composted. And this is the spirit of this session, to take a pause, to let the tears flow, to let the confusion surface and be held by a loving community. We cannot jump to action. We cannot talk about next steps. So my invitation is that when we go into sharing circles, we don't get into analysis. We just say, I fucking don't get it. I don't know why he did it. But I am pained and I resonate with his message. I wish he hadn't done it. I wish I had stopped him. I personally wonder if I got all the signs, if I did all I could have to support him. And I firmly believe this message. I will stop here and I will pass on to Brother Evan.
Thank you for sharing, Kritee, Erica, Sister True Vow for guiding us, Mayra for opening the space. And thank you all for being present. I am switched my view to see your faces on the gallery view, and I wonder if you will join me to do that for a moment. I'm really moved by sense of connecting to a community. And I want to invite us to take a moment to look at the faces and to feel each other so we can feel ourselves, what's alive. And yeah, just want to do that with you to ground what I'm going to share. I haven't prepared on purpose for this moment, except for being grounded, doing my everyday practices and looking deeply. I didn't, I never met Wynn except through you. I am a climate activist also. Oh, sorry. Do you need me to be? Sorry. Okay, so I live in New York City and I work with Extinction Rebellion. And we had a memorial for Wynn a few days ago. And last weekend, what was coming to me in that time was a sense of really what came up for me was touching Wynn's courage, I think. For me, it was an act of extraordinary courage. I think just there's a certain feeling of me wanting to be like resonate with him. So like putting myself in that place and feeling that, then I touch my own fear. And that's what's important for me, is I've been feeling different kinds of fear coming to the surface. And what am I afraid? It's not just my fear of dying, but my fear to be present with others, my fear of facing my own not belonging to a community, or not having enough wisdom, or that the actions I take will not have meaning. You know, many different kinds of fears coming to the surface. And I was asking myself, I think Wynn is trying to communicate something to me. And am I taking the time to stop and listen and really wonder, like, what is that? What am I being asked? And so I don't have an answer for that yet. I still feel it's a process that I need to honor, to find, to hear. And so I've also been contemplating a little bit in the spirit of Thai's teaching, where is Wynn now? Like right in this moment. And that's sort of like giving me a sense of expansion. And I was at a training yesterday. I was helping to offer a training in nonviolent direct action. I went around the room, we went around the room, and I asked people, what comes to your mind when you think of a nonviolence and direct action? And one person mentioned Wynn, said, this is what's on my heart. I thought, oh, so Wynn is here now, and is inviting us to look deeply into how we act, how we respond. And also in that space was our teacher, Thai. I brought his words into that space, and I remember there's a powerful expression. His book, Love in Action, is about the practice of nonviolence. And, you know, these words are from a younger Thai, but one phrase really resonates, and it keeps coming up for me, and it's the essence of nonviolence is love. It is not, it comes strategy and all the tactics and everything, it comes from love, it comes from compassion. And he goes on after that to talk about all the things, the ways that people engage to end the Vietnam War, to work for peace, and the way the Buddhist community engaged. And he gives several images of love, like people putting hands on barbed wire, women running through clouds of tear gas with babies. And he names the monastics self-immolating also as an act of love in that list. So for me, it's just like it's a contemplation of what is the meaning? What is my act of love? What am I? How do I honor those who have expressed love in so many different ways? And just the willingness to find my own truth there. And I think a lot of it for me is the healing within my own body that can allow my actions to resonate more in a collective field. So the inner healing and the outer healing going together. That is what I feel most called. But I also am, I think, just to fully honor it, like to keep questioning, to keep wondering. Thank you for listening. So we're passing it now to type of you.
dear friends. Thank you for Earth Holder and everyone for organizing this and giving us a chance to gather. I think that's it was important. It's an important process for us as a community. My name is Brother Pháp Dung, and I'm calling from Deer Park Monastery in the mountains, the Chaparral Mountains, where the Kumeyaay native people used to live. And we hold this space for many people to come and take refuge. It's beautiful nature surrounded with lots of birds and coyotes and rattlesnakes, and we're trying to make it as unsafe and allow nature to come close again and living with us. And so to have this space online to connect with people everywhere is a very beautiful part of our teacher's emphasis. Every time something happens to our community, we should gather as a community and to hear and to listen, to hold it together collectively. And I think for me, Wynn Bruce, I did not know of him and didn't hear of him until actually the media started asking our community to say a few words and get our perspective, because I think people who were quoting our teacher, I think most of you probably know. So there's a lot of misunderstanding, and so some brothers and sisters and some lay friends in the media who involved with media, they asked us to speak to news reporter and so on. So that's how I had to immerse myself and understand what was going on and what was going on in the media. And I think my sense, everything I looked at, there was this fear of people gonna suicide, because at the end of every article or in every story, there was a recommendation if you're feeling suicidal. And that was kind of that really stood out to me, that there was this fear that it would have a domino effect. And that made me really reflect on, like, where our society is, to have this fear that how are we organizing our civilization that people can like just kill themselves. And this is happening. So I think it's, and that's what the media doesn't tell the story of, what is happening in terms of suicide, depression, drug addiction, all these mental illness, because the way we organize a society. That's one thing that first stood out for me. And the other thing was the inability for people to grasp and to hold two truths at the same time, that they had to make sense out of this, and they had to like figure out it was right or wrong, sane or insane, or what the Thai and the Buddhists would call a dualistic way of looking at it. And so that really stood out for me, that actually that we can't actually hold two things at the same time. That is possible, and I practice with that now with Bruce, not to put him on any category or determined opinion about it. So I hold these truths, that he could be going through some despair, some sadness, as well as inspiration, courage, and so on. And we don't have to choose, and we can hold these truths. And for me, that's what has helped me in my practice, and feel actually inspired by it. And so for me, that's what I'm handling. And I think most important now is to for our community to like Kritee invited, to each one of us use this to look deeply and meditate and see what is it that challenges us. And so anytime something happens like this, we have to look and see what is it that is shifting our views. And so that's what is important about it. And I think what I would imagine Wynn Bruce would want us to do, to be challenged by our views and look at what we choose to do with our lives. So for me, that's what he chose to do is, that's his action. But the message for me is asking, like, what are you doing with your life? What are you living for? And so I answer that every day, So when I choose to become a monk, it makes people really misunderstand. My father misunderstood me. And why did you do that? It's, it's so useless. What are you contributing to the world by becoming monastic? So our action, our choices, it can challenge a lot of people. And for me right now, invite everyone to practice that we can hold grief, but our teacher also asks us to also have joy and wonder and to take refuge in nature. And those two can go hand in hand. It doesn't have to be grief. When 9/11, the two twin towers happened, the first thing Thai did was to tell the whole bus, the tour bus, that we're heading up to Berkeley to take a detour and go to the beach. Instead of going to our destination, we veered off to the beach, and Thai asked everyone to get off the beach because we just heard the news on the bus. And Thai wanted us to walk on the beach and to come in touch with the sand, with the waves, with the life, with the cycle of birth and death. And for us to nourish joy at that moment and to use nature to also energize us, and not just to be with grief only, but know that you have food on your plate, you are in a safe place, you have good enough health. So I just wanted to make sure, that's what I want to do with young people now. That are coming to the monastery and so on, is to teach people all the tools that we have to go through grief, but not only grief, but also know that your parents are alive. What can you say to them as well? And so this is for me what I'm practicing, to hold two seem like incongruent. That's what challenges our Western society, actually. So I just end with that, and thank you so much for everyone to come together. Yeah.
Dear noble community, my name is Sister True Vow again. Thank you to my fellow panelists for sharing from the heart. I also did not know Wynn personally, but when I heard of his actions and his passing, it affected me deeply, from heart to heart. Excuse me. We know that Wynn didn't leave behind a clear statement to explain his actions. He left some information, some hints here and there, which fills in the blanks somewhat. But in the end, what I touch is that it's not really his responsibility now to explain or clarify. Just the value of his life and the significance of his passing is enough motivation for me to look more deeply. How is Wynn living in me? I'm very grateful to Kritee and Erica and all of the friends who had the courage and compassion to speak up in the wake of Wynn's passing, to share from a place of not knowing, but still a sense of honoring and responsibility for Wynn as a person, to honor him fully. And I feel like honoring Wynn fully is honoring each one of us fully, because each and every one of us, our lives are precious. Our conscientious actions that we choose are very precious and can have a very deep impact on one another and into the future. But it takes courage sometimes. And the love and care of our friends who are closest to Wynn. In the wake of Wynn's passing, I was reflecting on the reactions of the larger community, the fear, the anger, the judgment. And a koan came up for me. So what are our supports to help us as individuals and as communities to turn towards one another rather than against one another in the face of stress or uncertainty? What is it that will nourish our bodhicitta and help us knit together, heal together, move in the direction of our heart rather than from a place of overwhelm and pain? And in reflecting on this question, I took refuge in our teacher's history and his modeling of this very act of community building in the face of turmoil. During the war, as many of us know, he founded the school for youth and social service. And it was founded with the very intention to address the dire needs and sufferings of the people around, all the different sufferings created by war and chaos. And the question, I feel, the gem that can answer that question in looking at our collective situation in the face of Wynn, in the face of the climate, is what sustains us, what sustained a movement like the School for Youth and Social Service. And at its heart, I think it gets to this capacity to see the common denominator, that non-dualistic principle that we hold to in the face of uncertainty, so that there is not blame or judgment, but a constant openness, a constant acknowledgement that there is more to know, there are deeper truths to hold, there is more insight to be cultivated, and we're all in this process together. So whether Wynn had the clearest of intentions and acted in the fiercest of ways in the direction of compassion, or whether there was ambiguity to echo what Kritee was sharing, for me is not so important. But what is important is the lessons I can take from how his actions resonate with me as someone who honors him and honors him in all of us, to carry forth that spirit of open compassion so that we can continue to find the common denominators, the lows that we hold together as a humanity, the highs that we have and can celebrate and nurture in ourselves as one humanity. you for listening.
Thank you so much, dear sister, dear Erica, Kritee, Aaron, and brother Pháp Dung, for this beautiful panel. We are now going to offer and invite you all to a brief somatic practice to let our bodies hold the depth of this talk. And I'm sharing it with my dear brother Ivan. So Ivan, I'm passing it to you.
Dear beloved community, let us stay in our bodies, in our breath, whatever is occurring for us at this moment. And I invite you all, if it's possible and comfortable for you, to stand up wherever you are, if it's possible for you, and bring awareness to your feet, perhaps curling your toes, making a connection to the earth that is holding us. Extending our arms and feeling how the energy can be discharged towards Mother Earth. And begin placing your hand, if you're comfortable, on your chest, or in your solar plexus, or in your belly, whatever may be comfortable for you. And start rotating it along with your breath. Inhaling as your hand moves up. Exhaling as your hand moves down. You can go slow or as fast as your breath is indicating you to go. Feeling your chest expanding, that's your inhaling. Feeling the exhale all through your body. Going all the way down to the earth as we exhale. And if it's comfortable for you, you can start going down with your hand towards your solar plexus, keeping that steady beat of your breath. Slowly inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling. You can follow every breath with your full consciousness, allowing the air to move, anything that's being stuck in your body, bringing awareness to the energy that flows, that keeps our body living in this present moment, with the easiness of just a breath. No effort needed right now. Just allow your breath to move through your body, allow the earth to sustain your body, connecting to the ground through your legs. And whenever you feel comfortable, you can join your palms together. Giving energy to your left hand, receiving the energy with your left hand. Giving energy to your right hand, receiving energy with your right hand. And feeling how they are. They're sharing the same energy, moving through our bodies as we keep on breathing. Deep inhale, move your arms up. Big exhale, move your palms in between your chest down to your hips. And let's try these 3 more times. Breathing in, bringing our arms up, breathing out, going down the center with our palms, sharing this energy of our breath. One last time, breathing in, arms up, breathing out to the center of our body, all the way down to our root chakra, sending this energy to the earth. Perhaps you want to end up rubbing your hands, making them warm, and then gently touch your face. Feel the warmth of your hands. Just being in that present moment with your energy that has been generated right now. Thank you, dear friends.
Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you've had a nourishing time. Thank you for being here. I'm passing to Sister Fan Yang again, so she can do the closing tour. Sister, where are you? I'm just looking for you in my screen. Just a second, everyone. And thank you all for the understanding for the tech part. We've had 150 people, so a little hot. Oh.
Thank you, Mayra. Dear friends, thank you and welcome back. We wanted to express our deep appreciation for you taking the time to come together as community to support one another, to deepen our reflections and our holding, just the holding and being with Wynn, with how his actions continues to resonate with us. We will be having a second session, June 12th, about a month's time, to allow for us as individuals and smaller groups outside of this larger group to have a chance to continue to give space and time to digest, to reflect, to hold, to express. Like as we had shared, when didn't quite catch the message. Yes, thank you. Wynn had so many facets that we share, hold in common. And one of those facets is a love of earth and his deep aspirations. So in the next session, we will look together to see how we can best honor these deep aspirations, not just of Wynn's, but of our own, to have a chance to look more deeply at the significance of action and explore the supports that we have in community in the practice with one another to make meaningful steps forward. So we'll take a moment just to ground ourselves in our breath. Taking a breath for ourselves. For Wynn. For our communities. And together to offer the merit, may we offer the merit of our practice and presence to the peace and well-being of all beings and Mother Earth. Thank you, dear friends, for extending your time with us. And we'll close with a few announcements from Mayra. And Stephen sent a message about a memorial organized in Boulder on Monday. That's tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time. You can see it in the chat window. You can see the event page in the link below. So now I'll pass it on to Mayra. Thank you.
Thank you so much, dear sister. Thank you all. Once again, we ask you to please surf on our website. I'll post it on our chat. And if you are willing to practice some dana, we have this link. And we also have an email for you all to reach out if you have any questions at all. So you can write to Simona, who is our coordinator, and she'll be happy to answer it. And I don't know if Ivan has any other announcement, but we'll see you all here in June 12th. And the other Sunday, 2 Sundays from today, we'll also have our Earth Holder community meeting at night, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So we'll be happy to receive you all and have a nice day and go well in peace and safe. I'm so happy to facilitate this. This is my first Earth Holder facilitation. So I welcome you all, and I'm really thankful to the CTC, and thank you all. And thanks to our panelists, Erica, Kritee, Aaron, Brother Pháp Dung, and Sister Tanyang. See you all and enjoy and have a nice life.